Hello again. This is What the Hell Is That Thing, episode 4. And this episode is about the Yamaha DX7. It is not currently in my live rig, but I believe I'm going to bring it back soon. Digitonic is playing Fuzzy Pig in a few weeks, so I may bring it out for that. I had it there last year when I played with Summer Court. It's just really heavy and it's really old. This is from 1983. It's 2 years older than I am. And it's kind of fragile, actually. Right before I started this, the mod wheel broke. So you're going to get to look inside it after the video because I'm going to take it apart and see if I can fix that. So this is a digital FM synthesis synthesizer, and this particular one really changed music in general. This synthesizer is on so many hits, and you have heard it so many times that it's maybe the most recognizable synthesizer. It's probably been on more hits than just about any other piece of music equipment in history. It's up there, if not number one. It's not a coincidence that Top Gun is on in the background because this thing was all over the Top Gun soundtrack. From the Take My Breath Away song to the main theme. It's very nostalgic. Everyone has heard this. I promise you have heard this. It's in TV shows and everything. So I'm going to explain how I use it and how other people have used it before and vaguely about how it works, but it's extremely complicated that I don't even really understand how it works. It's an algorithmic synthesizer, so it has 9 operators, I think, or six operators. Operator is pretty much a digital oscillator. So it's 6 engines that make sounds, and they're all set up in different algorithms, so algorithms will change and give it different sounds for each patch. So right now I have 32 sounds loaded onto it, and all of those 32 sounds can be changed in 32 different ways, and then they can all be programmed in a bunch of different ways too, but it's not easy to do. Right here there's a program that you can use to program it, but back in the 80s you had to go through the menu, and this thing was not really user-friendly. However, before this thing came out, to do the cool sounds that it does, you had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, and it was pretty much unheard of. So the fact that you could go buy one of these for $1,500 in 1983 and have all these digital sounds literally changed the face of music moving forward. And it changed what companies did as far as building synthesizers. So I want to dive into some of the sounds that was loaded on this when it came from the factory in 1983. So when you bought this thing, it had 32 sounds built into it, and you would get a ROM, which is a little cartridge, kind of like a Nintendo cartridge, and you would slide it in this little slot right here. You could plug that in, and then you had 32 sounds, and then you could switch those ROMs out with different ones. You could program your own, and then you could buy, some. It came with some. You could buy extras. So that's how you would change your sounds on this. Nowadays, I can plug it in via MIDI and just load whatever sounds into it. So I have some of the iconic sounds that originally came on it, and I have some of the sounds that I use when I perform with it, so you can hear kind of how it is. But the first sound I want you to hear that everyone's heard before, no matter what kind of music you like, is this. And that is the Taco Bell bell from the Taco Bell commercial. So next time you hear a Taco Bell commercial, think tubular bells from the DX7. So a real world example of how this would have been used live. So I actually have with me also my RX-15 80s drum machine from 1984 for the example. So this is a year older than me. This is 2 years older than me. So it's got a bunch of cheesy drum samples in it to mix together to be a little more realistic. So a good example is When Doves Cry by Prince. And he used a program or a patch on this called Kodo, which is which I love that patch. It's on my live rig when I use this live. So, and what he would do is layer different sounds. So he would do, and then he would layer it with something like a synth brass. And then you could layer that with something like this bass. And then if you put all that together, you have this. So the only patch that he actually used was this Kodo on that. The other ones were done with different synths and sounds. Of course, you had a guitar and all that other stuff on it. But that's a real life example of how this thing would have been used, and with a patch that was actually used. Songs like Tina Turner's What's Love Got to Do With It? This thing is almost the entire song. Bass, lead, flute, harmonica sounds, all over it. So since we're on famous sounds, so if we go to the back to the bass, this bass was very, very famous all over all kind of songs. So one song that this was used on was Danger Zone, which was the main theme for Top Gun, since we have Top Gun in the background. So you had... that bass was also used in Broken Wings by Mr. Mister. And since we're on bass sounds and we just talked about Top Gun, we can go to this other patch that come with this from the factory. And this is a bass sound that was used for Take My Breath Away, which was the ballad on Top Gun. So, yeah, lots of iconic sounds was used for this. You also had this funk bass right here, if I can find it, and this was Smooth Criminal. So all types of awesome songs. So the next sound I want to get into is the cheesiest sound that was ever made. And that is the electric piano. Now, this is the most famous sound on this synthesizer. You have heard this all over the place. It was the theme to Doogie Howser. It's been on all sort of commercials. I'm pretty sure this was the piano used in Wind Beneath My Wings. Every cheesy 80s and 90s pop ballad had this cheesy piano sound on it, which is this. So that was on all kinds of horrible 80s music. One way I use this live is I use it for a lot of aggressive synth sounds and a lot of evolving type sounds. So I built in this little switch here for a momentary hold, or a hold switch. So I would use it like... things like this. And then I would also use it for more aggressive type sounds like Alright, before I open it up, I'll just show you the front panel here. So here is how you would program it and save your patches. And then this is your 32 presets. And you can see all these sub-menus on how you would adjust the different parameters of this thing, which are not very user-friendly. And then you have your algorithms. I have tape on it to show my sounds that I have put on it, so I'll remember what's what. Alright, let's go ahead and open it up. And here we go. Now this is the original chips and boards and everything from 1983, it looks like. They all say Japan on them.
which is where this thing was made. There's a battery there, and that battery will go dead, and I think you lose some of your internal memory. And there was a situation with this synth, I believe, that they put some sort of red goo under it, and it would leak. It could be another keyboard I'm thinking of, but I think this one's been fixed for that. And this stuff would leak out on the circuit board and ruin it. There's some lint or something back there I should clean out. But yeah, this says a lot for how good these things were built, because, I mean, they were meant to be workhorses. And this looks pretty common now, but in 1983, to buy a piece of music equipment that had these types of components in it was extremely expensive and kind of rare. So this was very revolutionary for the mass market. But all right, and that's the mod wheel I have to fix, but I'm not going to open that part up. I just wanted to show you the components. So thanks for checking out the video. All right.